Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Authentic You podcast today. I'm excited to have my guest today, the lovely Rebecca Matthews. Welcome to the podcast, Rebecca.
Oh, it's so lovely to be here. Thank you for having me along.
Oh, thank you for coming along and accepting my invitation. The amazing Rebecca helps rising artists, healers, and heart led leaders to break free from toxic patterns and unleash their creative or spiritual gifts. Her revolutionary sessions are the secret ingredient that empower soulful leaders to move from feeling stuck to finding fulfillment. Rebecca works passionately supporting them to release blocks, make breakthroughs, and create a freedom based lifestyle that lights up their soul. She combines over 2 decades of extensive experience in health and wellness with long term involvement with music, TV, and the film industry. Rebecca lives in Bristol, UK, with her 2 daughters and loves travel, adventure, being out in nature, winter, and water sport and live music. Amazing, Rebecca. So, anything you'd like to add there? And officially, very warm welcome to the podcast.
Oh, thank you so much. No, that was a really nice introduction. Thank you.
And it's not the first time because I'm in Suffolk. So you're west and I'm east. And it's not the
Yeah.
first podcast guest I've had where we've been like directly across the country. There seems to be a bit of a theme with like east and west going on. I'm in the most easterly point and I seem to attract the most westerly, sort of almost
Yeah. Well,
westerly point people.
everything's in balance, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah, it's a really interesting balance. So yeah, just thought I'd share that. Um, Amazing. And I totally love I love what you do. I feel like there's real alignment in what you do there in terms of, breaking free of those toxic patterns, unleashing their creative and spiritual gifts. Yeah, and a lot of a lot of what I see is that there are blocks that do kind of that are in the way of us aligning to our soul. And once we align to our soul, like um all of these kind of pathways unlock for us. So what led you to do this work, Rebecca? Love to know more about kind of what led you here. Tell me more about your story.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, well, it's been a really interesting journey. I started off actually doing a science degree, and worked for the corporate industry, and I was helping I worked as analyst and project manager, helping streamline sort of large multinational corporations how to streamline and make their businesses more efficient or effective. And it just didn't really light up my soul. So after I had my daughter, I retrained and I started doing therapy. So I first started off doing body work and massage and all those kind of things. And but as time went on, I then had a car accident and I had a serious back injury. And it was the fourth time I'd broken my back, actually. I'd ended up in a rehab unit. I was misdiagnosed by the medical profession and ended up in a rehab unit and being taught how to live with chronic pain. And I just didn't feel like it was my journey. I didn't want to be on painkillers. And they were sort of suggesting antidepressants and painkillers, and that's not what I wanted to do at all. I was really lively, really active, and had 2 small children at the time. And I didn't want that to be my journey. So I started looking at every different way that I could do to try and sort of get well, really. All I wanted to do at that time was lead a fulfilling life. And I tried to do everything I could. And I got limited success. I mean, obviously, I was trained in lots of different therapies myself, and I tried different things, but nothing was really working for me. And I wasn't getting sustained results. And when I got to the point where I was finding it sort of quite difficult to stand, and I was really uncomfortable, and I wasn't sleeping well. And I was really always connected to, like, interested in the mind-body connection and how it worked. And I trained in hypnotherapy, and that kind of just seemed to be the catalyst. It opened everything for me. As soon as I trained, I suddenly started seeing past lifetimes, opened up all my spiritual gifts. I started getting downloads of information. And yeah, just everything changed. It literally was the catalyst to change things. And at that point, I started to research everything I could, because it was almost like the door unlocked, and I was getting all this information coming through. And I realized that there was so much more than that things seem. So I wanted to find out and create a system that was going to be able to look at all everything that can impact a person, and like holistically. So we would look at all areas of their life, but also go back to the origin of where it happened. And I realized how basically I was being impacted by things that had happened in alternative lifetimes for me. but also things that were happening in my ancestral line as well. And these repeating patterns that were happening with me were also happening with my daughters, and I could see where they'd stemmed from. And it sort of just opened up the doorways. And so as I started to get all this information, I started just to collate it and do it and over again. And just got greater and greater insight, started to download more, opened up all my channels. I became completely like clairvoyant and clairaudient, and started channeling information. And yeah, so it was amazing. And so I set up my business. I sort of transitioned what I was doing, because I started doing sessions for people, and I was doing hands-on sessions initially, and then I realized that I could actually sort of tune into their energy, and before they arrived, I'd know exactly what was going on with them. I'd start getting insights about them, and I'd see things that were happening to people, that was impacting them from other experiences that they'd had. And I was able to tune into that and notice by doing this method that it basically started to make dramatic shifts, dramatic changes in their health, their well-being, their relationships. And then the people that started coming through the doors, it just sort of opened up. I took my business online. I got more and more people coming to me, and I started doing people all over the world. And I realized the people that were coming tended to be a lot of healers, a lot of light workers, a lot of people who had this massive mission in their heart that they wanted to create dramatic change on the planet. But they were stuck. These same patterns kept happening. And it was the things that I worked through myself when I'd moved from being, I realized that the same patterns were happening with me, and I was having to go through and clear all this old stuff, all this trauma that was trapped in my body, and these old patterns that were repeating in my life. And I'd learned how to do it for myself. And then I started to apply the same process to my clients, and then they start getting dramatic shifts as well. So I have a lot of clients who had moved from toxic relationships. They'd been in perhaps narcissistic relationships or codependent relationships, or just had a difficult relationship with themselves as well, and move them back into a space of self-love and lead to happier relationships, but also have massive financial breakthroughs as well. Chronic pain would disappear. My health just dramatically improved. Suddenly I was able to go out and live life again in my most fulfilling way. And so it was just basically, I've applied the process. More and more people started coming from all over the world, and all my sessions are online now. And I just offer sessions to, I shifted to begin with, I just started doing sessions for everybody just to see what happened. And I had clients I had a client who was completely, had no hearing impaired and had no hearing. And I realized that actually the sessions worked equally effectively. I had clients that were, that I was able to do remote sessions, and I could tune into their energy signature, and they would have equally dramatic transformations. And so I realized they didn't need to be there in person. I could do it online. And that's how it sort of progressed. So I just wanted to share the process that I've been using with as many people as I can, because I just realized that would then create the biggest ripple effect on the planet and impact the most people, really. And we're in dire need of lots of positive change at the moment.
Definitely. Yeah, I love that, Rebecca. Thank you so much for sharing that story. What I love about your story is how you and it's very similar in ways to my story, in that there was like this external voices around like how you could improve your health and what it was you needed in that moment in time. And it's like your soul spoke and you intuitively knew, and you had that kind of mission within you, that sort of truth within you, that inner voice that went, this is not right, like there must be another way. And I feel like a lot of people listening will resonate with that kind of that moment of truth of like, no, I'm not going to take the antidepressants. I'm not going to I'm not going to have this label for the rest of my life, but I can feel like truth in my soul that there is another way. And then you followed that and you asked those questions and you listened to that inner voice, which is like a beautiful part of that story. And then, being able to then help others through that journey. And the second thing I heard in that as well is, which I feel is so important, is that when we work on ourselves and when we work on our past traumas, whether that's, from our life or previous lives, what you said there beautifully is like your gifts came online, your channels opened, and you had these incredible gifts. And I feel there's a really important message in that, again, like for those listening, about, I'd love to know your thoughts on this as well, Rebecca. Like when we work on ourselves, when we heal our traumas, I kind of see it as like we're getting this like sludginess out of our energy field almost. And because we're kind of removing these like sludgy energies, we then become a clear channel.
Mm.
I feel like there's a lot of kind of love and light brigade sort of spiritual community information about, you just open and you just connect, just get these gifts. But actually, what you're saying, Rebecca, which I feel is really true for me as well, is that we need to clear that sludginess. We need to clear those traumas. We need to clear those attachments. And that's how we become a clear channel, not through this love and light. Actually, it's through the shadow, isn't it? So I'd love to know your thoughts on that.
Absolutely. I mean, it's been a bit of an emotional roller coaster. It's been a rocky road. It's, it's not always smooth sailing, but the other side is incredible. And what I've realized is that, what I found was things were being reflected back to me in my life, and I just was using that as a way, as a compass really, of what work do I need to do on myself? What am I being shown here? What do I need to change? How can I pivot and shift and change? And where am I reacting? Where's this showing up in my life? And so I just use that. And like I say, it's not always been really easy.
It's not easy, this journey, is it? It's not all love and light.
But I have to say, miracles happen to me all the time. I'm so blessed and I'm so fortunate because I now have the chronic pain that I was in. I've just been snowboarding and skiing in the mountains. I lead an active lifestyle, but emotionally I'm just so much more together. I'm so much more resilient. I have a focus every day. I know I have this inner knowing what I'm supposed to be doing, and even when the outside isn't reflecting that, I'm like, I still get up and I do it and I push forwards, and I'm like, what step can I take today towards my goal, because I know I'm supposed to be bringing this out to the planet. And I've known this now for about the last 7 years. I've been, and I think some people have thought a little bit crazy, because they're like, what are you doing? Why don't you go back and get another job? Because this is something new. This is the process that I use has never been used before on the planet, and it's something new that's been sort of divinely downloaded through me. And but I know I've witnessed how it's transformed my life in the most incredible ways, but also my daughter's lives, my partner's life, my clients' lives, my family, people all around me, and the shifts and the ripple effect, and the people that were coming to me, they've gone on to create dramatic transformations on the planet. And this is like, I've had people who have come to me and then they've ended up a role within the police force, and then that's had a massive effect within the police or within the environment agency or within people that are trying to create humongous change on the planet. It's like having this massive ripple effect across. But they're also then sometimes people are doing stuff within their family, within their community, on large scale, global scale. For me, I just want the world to be a better, more harmonious, happy place, and I want people to live their most fulfilling life. And I just feel that we are a little bit brainwashed into it has to all be love and light and stuff. And actually, by clearing out the shadow, by looking at the parts where trauma is stuck, where we're hurt, what's impacted us in the past, and this is why I created this system, because it's actually, there are so many different things that are impacting us. And that's what I wanted to do, was create a system that looked at absolutely everything. That I'm aware of, but also that I'm not aware of, because I'm only human, and that that it comes through me, and it knows it shifts and changes things, and it will highlight repeating patterns to my clients, that will show them where they're not in alignment and give them the opportunity to make the shifts. It's all about empowering them, and so they then can feel more in control of their life and not be swayed by sort of by past trauma or by past experiences, or be tainted by events that have happened to them, or sometimes stuff that they don't even know about, because it's all in the unconscious, or it's all in their ancestral line, or it's another lifetime that they have no idea what's going on, and why is this thing keep happening. And that's what I found. It was like, people, and no matter where, I've had clients who are like multimillionaires right down to everyone across the whole spectrum. I've worked with so many different people, and everybody has the same issues in these same repeating patterns. And so so I wanted to create a system that was able to look at those, and by resolving those, it helps people to be able to move forward in a more aligned way and feel more balanced, and shifts their physical body back into balance. But it also gives them more empowerment. They feel more connected to their soul, to their purpose, to what they're supposed to be, what they feel aligned to do.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing that, Rebecca. There's a couple, I keep saying there's a couple of things, like there's sort of this pattern, like two here. Like there's a couple of things that kind of really stood out, which I think will really resonate with the audience. One was you said about like feeling crazy, like people think you're crazy. And I just want to pick up on that because I think that's an incredible thing. So like anyone listening, like when we're on this journey, like we are leading the way, as Rebecca said, we are leading the way to this new paradigm, and we have got to walk this path first, and that is going to feel clunky, a bit like, you know, a pathway through the woods. The first time we go off this new pathway, you know, we're going to have to like stomp some weeds down and snap some branches out of the way. In fact, I actually did it in the woods on Saturday. I actually did it, and yeah, it was uncomfortable, and I had to duck, and I had to like push some branches, and I got muddy, and but that's what we're here to do. And I know those of you listening. So I just wanted to pick up on that, Rebecca, because I think so many of us feel like, and I even used to say when I first started to sort of practice speaking my truth, I even used to say, this might sound about a bit weird, but, or this might be weird, but, and I've kind of stopped doing that now and just go with it. But I think for so many of us on that journey, if you're feeling that, and those listening might be feeling that, like, well, I feel a bit like different to my family, or, you know, don't feel like I quite fit in with my friends. It's because you're here to be that leader and walk that new path. So thank you for picking up on that point, Rebecca. I think it's important that we share that. And the
It's
other,
lovely to be in a people that understand
we're
that.
definitely in the safe space of witness here. Yeah, we love a bit of crazy. And then the other thing that I wanted to pick up on, Rebecca, was the which I'd love to know more about what you think of, is like this. So similar to me, I had a 15-year corporate career, and then I left, and then the impact. I'm feeling this very similar to you, like you know, you've had this impact on all these different people across the world, and it's like the impact that you had in corporate was, I'm sure, hugely impactful, but the impact you can have now on creating those ripples for others so they can create their ripples, like you say, in different organizations, in the police. I feel like there's something in that for, and I call this my like wise woman on the hill in my human design. But like I feel like there is something about us stepping out and stepping back to empower others, and the ripples then are so much more powerful because they have the ability to reach more people. So I feel like the more we can kind of role model that kind of stepping back and empowerment, rather than us needing to have all the fingers in the pies, actually, if we oversee the bakery, I'm just going to go with that metaphor for a moment in my head. What are your thoughts on that, Rebecca, and like how we kind of step back and empower others? Or for anyone listening who kind of feels like they've got all their fingers in pies at the moment, trying to make an impact in every single thing rather than stepping back and empowering others, what would you say to them?
Yeah, I think empowerment is the most important thing. And when I changed, I made a pivot in what I was doing, because I moved to Soulful Leaders, because I thought if I could help people who were higher up, as in they had like a larger following themselves, then that would have a ripple effect down. And so I'm tending to work with the change makers, the upcoming, the new rising leaders, the people who are really heartfelt and who know that they've got this mission themselves. So I'm tending to work with them, so because I know that there's this wave of amazing people coming forward with these new skills, these new gifts, who are, you know, who to bring out into the world. And it's all about unlocking those. And my sessions activate their people's unique abilities, their talents, you know, and whether that is, and I work with a lot of musicians and artists and creatives, and so it's in whatever format. So I, you know, like I said, I do sessions for healers, light workers, so lots of people in the spiritual realms who have these gifts that need to be unlocked, and that, you know, that it's desperate, the world is in need of people to come forward and share these. And it's difficult making that stance to stand up and do it, because like you say, that people, I think, have got these fears. They're afraid of ridicule. They've all carrying the witch wound from previous lifetimes. There's a lot of fear about stepping up or being authentic or being your true self, saying things in case you know you're attacked or judged harshly. But it's really important to actually make the shift and to break those patterns and to step forward, because your gifts are incredible and the world needs them. And, you know, however you want to create this impact on the planet in whatever way is so important. whether, you know, it doesn't matter how, everyone's got their unique gifts, and it's really important to bring the empowerment back to the people, and to have the courage to step forward. And it, like I say, it is difficult, and it is courageous. It's to break through those fears and to keep, and I think people as well, when they feel that they have this mission, but they think, oh no, I'm being guided, and it's a bit wrong because it's not easy.
Yeah.
But actually, it you know, you need to just keep pushing forward and keep pushing through that, and by doing that, that actually really helps to, you know, it creates change. It will make change, and you know, that's what the world needs, is these new leaders, these new people with these amazing gifts in whatever form they are, whether they're creative or spiritual or however it is. It's amazing. We just need people to share them.
Completely agree. Yeah, please share your gifts with the world. And I was reading something the other day that said about the new, we're actually evolving into a new version of human who will just be, we won't need, like, this is like years down the line, we won't need things like food to survive. We will be purely light beings, and that is the version of human we're evolving towards. So like that evolution is going to happen. Like that's going to happen anyway, as much as we try and fight it. So it almost feels like if we don't start talking about this stuff, if we don't like enable people to bring their gifts forward, then like we're not going to evolve as quickly, or there's going to be this huge, well, there's already is a divide, isn't there? But I kind of feel like it's bigger than all of us. It's like not from like a pressure kind of way. And what I'm hearing and what you're saying, Rebecca, is like it's not pressure, but it's like responsibility. Like this mission is bigger than all of us because that evolution on the planet is happening, and we need to take responsibility for it. But it doesn't mean we beat ourselves up. It's like a really loving, nourishing way of just keep moving forward, just keep working on ourselves, and like you say, magic happens. You know, you receive amazing gifts, and magic happens on that journey when we do work on ourselves. Like that's kind of what I'm hearing and what you're saying. Like it's a responsibility because it's going to happen anyway. So it's a responsibility for us to share our gifts so that we can lead the way. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel that when we're not in alignment, it feels uncomfortable. It feels you can sense you're not in alignment. But sometimes, you know, you just course correct. You feel like you're being nudged back into to making those shifts, making those changes, and nothing's permanent. I think everybody gets fixed that we have this one mission, this one purpose, but I think we've got multiple missions. And you know, I'm here to be a mum and to have fun and make the most of this incredible planet. And I think I want to live life to the fullest, and I want to experience life. And it's not about sitting in a room and meditating all day, every day, because it's about going out and looking at the beauty of life and experiencing it and feeling that tangibleness of it. And just, you know, that's what I want. I want to do that and enable the people that I work with to be able to do the same, to live their happiest, most fulfilling, best life. And when you're fulfilled, then you have that kind of like overflow that you want to give back.
Definitely. Oh, I love that. So that leads us really nicely onto the question that I ask all of my guests, Rebecca, and it's so hard, I know, to come up with one thing. But if you were to share one thing to the audience, one tip to aligning to your most authentic self, what would you say?
I'd say have integrity, like really tune into your values, your why, but always like that inner truth, really tuning into that inner truth of who you are, and why you're doing what you're doing, and you know, staying authentic to yourself, to your values, to your dreams, to your goals, and who you are, with truth and honesty, integrity.
I love that, integrity. I love that word. So thank you. That's, yeah, it really resonates. Thank you, Rebecca. Okay, so you have an amazing free event coming up, which I would love for you to share more about with our audience if they would like to get involved. So feel free to share away, and any other ways that we can get in touch with you or work with you.
Amazing. So yeah, so I'm offering a 3-day event. I work incredibly fast to shift energy and to make transformations happen. So I'm only going to be doing about 45 minutes per evening in the UK, but you know, whatever time zone people are in. And it's going to be running the 1st of May, 1st, 2nd and 3rd of May, which is Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday. at 7 p.m. and it's called the Abundance Activator. So really it's all about unlocking your gifts and bringing abundance into all areas of your life. And that's, I don't see it just as a financial thing. I see it as, you know, your health, your well-being, your relationships, just leading your most fulfilling life, really. So it's all about unlocking that. And I will be doing a powerful transformation session on the Wednesday as part of it, which is going to be an activation to help, you know, to clear these blocks for people. So we're going to be discussing the typical blocks that come up for soul, I call them, so I run, my company's called Soulful Leaders, and so you can find me on Facebook, and I've got a free Facebook community as well, so people can join that. And I'm going to be running sessions on Zoom, and then they can, obviously the replays are going to be held in my Facebook community as well. And yes, we're going to be talking about the blocks, the common blocks that impact sort of artists, healers and heart-led leaders, and then the keys that I've used to unlock abundance in my life and my clients' lives, and then also doing this activation on the final day as well.
Amazing. That sounds incredible, Rebecca. Thank you so much. I think that will really resonate with the audience. So I'll put all the links in the show notes as well. Anything else you would like to share as we come towards the end of the podcast?
Just that I think, you know, it's so important for people to lead their best life and make the most of their time here. That's what's really important to me, I think, is that we all have this mission and make the most of every moment.
I really felt that. Amazing. Well, thanks for listening, everyone, and thank you so much for joining, Rebecca. And
Thank you.
we will see you soon.